I literally went back to MCW and said, hey, they want to send Okada. And they looked at me, Crush and Mikey J looked at me, and they go, no. They're literally like, no, we can't. We couldn't facilitate it. We couldn't get a venue that would respect the man enough. We couldn't find an opponent to his level. There was so many conversations of like, no. And we went back and we are like, thank you. That's very generous. But maybe Sonata?
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of That Sweet Pop. My name is Dion McCracken. He is Brad Lewis. Welcome along to the show again, folks. We had a great chat this week with Gino Gambino. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the show. Brad, how was your week?
My week was good, my friend. She's been busy, as it always is, but managed to get in a fair chunk of wrestling content. It's been an interesting week with some interesting stories and rumors, as they say, thrown out there. I'm really keen to crack into it. And again, we just thank all the audience for their feedback. Just keep it coming, guys. We're on a journey here with you guys, so keep all that feedback coming, and we're here for you at the end of the day.
And we want to kick into things straight away this week. There's a lot to talk about. Let's start with the top story. Our top story this week, Adam Copeland, Cope, Edge, the rated R superstar, whatever you want to call him, is he coming back to WWE? Could he be the final opponent for John Cena? Now, rumors abound this week, Brad. As you know, we saw Cope on AEW television saying to Christian, I've got to go away for a while. I don't know if I'm going to be back. So immediately, fans then jumped on the train saying, this is it. Edge is coming back. He's going to be John Cena's final opponent. I'm not so sure. Would be fantastic if he was, but let's dive into it a little bit. Now, no one really knows the details of Cope's contract, right? He's rumored to be in a multi-year deal through 2026. He's also rumored to be going away to film a series of Percy Jackson on Netflix. So the stars feel like it's probably wishful thinking, but in the spirit of it's still real to me, damn it, I'm hoping that there might be a little bit of something there. Brad, my question to you to kick this off is this. Despite the counter-programming, despite the bad blood, because John Cena is who John Cena is there any universe in which WWE and AEW could have come to an agreement for Cope to head to WWE for a month's worth of programming?
Loaded question. Look, if Nick Khan and Tony Khan got into a room together, then maybe something like this could happen. But given WWE's aggressive counter-programming in recent times, the trash talk that's gone on social media between competitors from both organizations, the tribalism that we've talked about, I can't see it. And simple maths has me really wondering where this came from. And first of all, and this is what I believe it is, it's a troll job from Cope and it's a troll job from AEW and Tony Khan. And I think it's magnificently orchestrated. It sounds like Adam Copeland's going away to film the show for Netflix. But he made his debut at Wrestle Dream in 2023, which was 2 years ago, right? So October 2023. So even if he signed a 2-year contract, he has been out for about a year of that deal with injury. And in those contracts, both in WWE and AEW, injury time can be added on to those contracts. We saw it with Rey Fenix. We saw it with Penta. We've seen it with Park back in the day in WWE. So I just can't see it. Now, the only... I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, and he said, what if, Brad? What if Edge and John Cena have gone to Tony Khan and said, this is what I want, this is what we want, and WWE would have to be on board with this, and potentially maybe throwing it out there, WWE could would potentially loan a talent to AEW for a show like a Cody Rhodes for an anniversary Dynamite, or look, I don't know, Dion. Certainly CM Punk won't be going back there soon. Maybe John Cena can have an appearance on Dynamite, but John Cena's the anti-AEW. He's what AEW fans do not like about pro wrestling. So if you're a true AEW fan, you'd boo him out of the building, right? Like, I kind of feel like that's how it would be. So I'm spitballing here, and I just can't see it. I think that timing is wonderful in pro wrestling, and for AEW and Tony Khan, this is people talking about AEW. This is people talking about one of the top 5 superstars in AEW and Cope, Adam Copeland, the Rated R Superstar Edge. So I think it's great for them. And the speculation will now run right throughout the next 2.5 months when people are waiting for I See Clearly Now to hit at the end of a John Cena match. I just don't think we're in a world now where that can happen. I can't see it. Even if it was on neutral ground, like in TNA or something, I just can't see it, Dion. Like, there's just too much bad blood there.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, wonderful troll job from AEW. Congratulations, Tony Khan. Congratulations, Cope. Everyone's going to be talking about Cope now for the next 2.5 months.
Yeah, look, and one thing's for sure, if, and again, this is like fantasy booking territory, right?
Yeah.
If there was some deal that was struck between the two companies, Tony Khan doesn't need the money.
No.
It would be for, like you say, some form of talent exchange. You say CM Punk would never go back. What if we did fantasy book? What if this alternate universe, CM Punk did show up on Dynamite, had a match with, I don't know, maybe a Jack Perry. Now, this is not going to happen, but what a year that would be. But I've been racking my brains all year, Brad, on this, and every wrestling fan has been. Who could be the last opponent for John Cena? Man, there's a lot of pressure on this match. Goldberg had his retirement match a couple of months ago, and, you know, whatever. I was a big fan of Goldberg back in the day, but it just felt like a little bit of a gimmick retirement match. It was something that Goldberg was given so he could ride off into the sunset, and as things turned out, he rode off to the sun into the sunset firing bullets. Who is big enough for John Cena? How is this match going to be remembered as a fitting send-off for the greatest of all time? Who are the realistic opponents? Brock Lesnar? Does he come up against Brock Lesnar again and try and seek redemption for WrestlePalooza? I don't think so, but it's possible. It'd certainly be a ratings draw for Saturday night's main event. What about The Rock? Do you think it's time that we could tie up some loose bows on what looked to be a promising storyline back in February and turn to, as we know, the stinkiest of custards? Could we see The Rock versus John Cena on Saturday night's main event?
Man, you're full of loaded questions for me today, Mr. McCracken. Look, I think that the answer is reasonably simple, and you need to make someone, right? Like, and look, I've seen a really good argument for Roman Reigns, but he doesn't need making, right? Doesn't need it. Doesn't need that rub. To me, the only name that makes sense, and he hasn't been on television since he lost to CM Punk at SummerSlam, and that is Gunther, because that is the guy. That is a guy that you can put in any program at any time. He's legitimate. And I think we're heading towards Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, potentially in Vegas in April, March next year. So for me, it has to be someone that you have major plans for, and Gunther is that guy, Dion. So I don't want it to be Braun Breaker. I don't want it to be a Jacob Fatu. I don't want it to be Seth Rollins. I don't want it to be anyone from the Vision. No one that he's wrestled this year, despite the fact that Punk or Orton would make a lot of sense from that perspective. We know that it's going to be AJ Styles in Perth, which is amazing for the Australasian audience that are heading down there. It has to be Gunther. That's the only name that makes sense, unless, Dion, you are bringing in a Ricky Saints, an Obafemi, a Trick Williams, someone from from NXT that you want to put a rocket ship to. But my only hope is that whatever it is, they have a plan for this person post the John Cena match, because you know that John will put someone over. Whoever it is, he'll be happy to. Which is why it's not going to be Cope. That makes no sense for WWE to have Edge be John Cena. And you know who's going to win that match? They'll be toing and throwing from both sides. So that's why that's fantasy booking. It has to be Gunther, Dion.
And again, how good for Gunther to be able to, in 2 or 3 months' time, say, I retired John Cena, I retired Goldberg.
And now Brock Lesnar, I'm going to retire you.
Mm.
You know, and
Yeah.
that to me is that it just makes sense. And look, when you think of John Cena, Dion, and you think of who he was, Super Cena, he was created by Vince McMahon with a lot of his input into it. He had the 5 moves of doom, which became the 6 moves of doom at some point during his career. Now he's pulling out all the classics, but Gunther is the complete opposite of John Cena. He is a guy that we would have been watching wrestling in the 1950s with no knee pads, with boots and just tight short. That's it. And chops and body slams and drop kicks and power bombs. So it just makes the most sense. And I think they would have a classic, and you could pull out all the Super Cena stuff, have him kick out, and then maybe finally ends it by going to sleep in the sleeper and Gunther, and he doesn't tap out. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin style at WrestleMania 13. He just goes to sleep without tapping out, and that is the end of John Cena's career. And then you have a big party for him afterwards.
I look. We peek behind the curtain quite often now, and I'm hoping that we do get to get a little bit of an understanding on where things were going with this heel run. There was a time where I thought to myself, maybe, I'm not sure if it was going to be the last match, but maybe we were going to get a little bit of a replay of the Money in the Bank 2012 situation with CM Punk perhaps champion and Cena saying, hey, I'm going to take this title, I'm going to take it and go home and never come back again. Again, all fantasy booking stuff. The issue I've got with this whole scenario is I don't feel like any match is going to feel big enough. Fantastic if he can put over a Gunther. Look, I think you're right. It's the only up and coming talent, if you can still call Gunther an up and coming talent as a 2-time world heavyweight champion. That makes sense. It'd be crazy for it to be a Trick Williams. It'd be crazy for it to be an Obafemi. We only have 4 or 5 dates left of John Cena on television. So we do know it's going to be a small run, a small build. But man, John Cena's gone in a couple of months.
And in all those dates, Dion, I want to see him wrestle, right? So he's got 2 Raws. He's got a Crown Jewel, Saturday Night's Main Event, Survivor Series, right? So we know he's going to wrestle at Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and Saturday Night's Main Event. That's locked in. And he's probably going to be in War Games. So on those 2 Raws that he's appearing at Madison Square Garden, and I believe it's Massachusetts as well, he needs to wrestle. And for me, he needs to wrestle Dominic Mysterio. That has to happen. Dominic is over as over can be right now, and I think that'll be a fantastic match. And then potentially you have him wrestle a Seth Rollins. Maybe this is John Cena's last chance at a world title, and it's up against Seth Rollins. So those are the 2 matches I'd like to see him participate on Raw. It makes a lot of sense. Seth Rollins and John don't have a lot of history together, which is why that match is fun to me. So that's what I'd like to see. Dominic Mysterio, Seth Rollins, War Games, Gunther, and AJ Styles.
And there are no do-overs. There are no do-overs. WWE will be pulling out all the stops to get this right. And Brad, I hope in a couple of months we're sitting here with our minds blown at a cinematic exit of John Cena's career. Now, speaking of cinematic, you're going to want to stick around for this interview. I caught up earlier in the week with Gino Juicy Gambino, and that interview's coming up right after the break.
This October, John Cena lands in Perth for a full-scale WWE takeover. It all starts with SmackDown, ends with Raw, and in the center of it all, Cena takes the spotlight for one of WWE's most massive nights in Perth. 3 nights, 1 epic weekend, all at RAC Arena. WWE TakeOver Perth this October. Scan the code, don't miss it.
Our guest today is one of the most recognizable voices in Australian wrestling. A 2-time MCW champion and former member of the Bullet Club, he's competed around the world, including at the Tokyo Dome, and called the action at Wrestle Kingdom for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And today, he's our very special guest. Please welcome Gino Juicy Gambino.
Do I clap myself? Is that okay?
I'll clap with you. I'll
Okay.
clap with you. How are you, man?
I'm okay. It's funny that you say the most recognizable voice in Australian wrestling because for some reason, it doesn't matter how much commentary I do around the world, no one in Australian wrestling will book me as a commentator. It really blows my mind. But thank you. It's actually a very nice intro. Thank you.
No worries, man. And this is the second time I'm going to get to use this line on this podcast. The last time I saw you was outside a CVS on the corner of the Las Vegas Strip.
Can I tell you what? Can I tell you what I enjoy about our relationship? We maybe see each other once every 2 years. Once a year if we're lucky, and it's like we've seen each other every day. We have a hug, we have a chat. We're like, "Oh, mate, see you next time." And like, there's no like awkwardness. It's a very nice relationship to have, especially in professional wrestling.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
to
it's
have
a
that.
beautiful thing.
So it was lovely to see you. And you know what? I bumped into so many Aussies and Kiwis whilst I was in Vegas, and it was really awesome. I actually, even though it was $1 million to go to WrestleMania, it was actually awesome to see everyone there.
Yeah, I'm actually mortgaging the house to go again next year.
I really want to as well because I love Vegas. I have like you spoke to Duke Hudson. I have a severe gambling problem, as he does. So the idea of going back to Vegas is a big one, and yeah, it was awesome. I was really expensive, but I reckon you enjoyed it too. Allegiant Stadium was a once in a lifetime to see. That was incredible.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, Vegas always kills it as well. Hey, let's dig into your career. So you discovered professional wrestling, tell me if I'm wrong, in the Attitude Era. You grabbed a flyer at WWF Global Warning. That's what it was.
That's the one.
Global Warning from what is now a good friend of ours, Slicks, as it turns out.
Correct, out of all people.
How were those early days of training, and was it what you expected?
I think everyone's the same. You kind of expect it to be a lot easier. And I think that's probably one of the biggest problems in our industry is people do think it's easy. They think they're just going to turn up, fall on this big fluffy mattress and get to do a Stone Cold Stunner. And I was one of those people. I was a big Stone Cold mark. I thought that I was going to get to do stunners and be this cool guy. I remember sitting with some mates at home after my first day of training, and they were like, "So what? How are you going to get introduced?" I said, "Oh, they're going to turn the lights off for me. I'm going to come out, and no one's going to know who I am. I'm going to give a stunner." And that didn't happen. But the first few days was interesting because I just met people that were similar to me. They weren't giants. They weren't larger than life. They weren't anything special, but they had this real passion for professional wrestling, and they wanted to be a part of it. And that was really cool because, you know, I'm not a super tall bloke. I'm only 5'11". Like I'm not super broad or anything like that. And I thought, geez, I'm really going to struggle to make it in any capacity. But there was a lot of people that were in the same boat. So it felt like we were just on the same journey together. We just wanted to be professional wrestlers, and that was kind of cool. It was a cool feeling to have, like a cool little club.
And of course, you debuted. Well, I think it was a debut as Mr. Juicy. Were you Juicy from the beginning?
No. So I was, out of all things, Adam Gambino when I first began. And the way I got, we'll stick with this story. Watch the ADHD kick in. But the way I got Gino was Chris Fresh booked me for Wrestle Rock. He goes, "Hey, Gino, yeah, you kind of look like a Gino. You don't look like an Adam." And that was it. It was Gino Gambino from then. I had no choice. And everyone has called me Gino since. When people call me Adam, I'm just like, who? I was like, me. That's right. That's who I am. So Gino's really stuck. But Mr. Juicy came from a wrestler called Esteban Manila, who wrestled in Queensland. He was originally from South America. He moved to Queensland with his partner and started wrestling then. He was an incredible talent. And his moniker was Mr. Yummy. And him and I tag team together. He's like, man, we need to think of a new name for you. He's like, you know, Gino Gambino, it's not cool. He goes, "What about Mr. Juicy?" And I was like, "Done, brother." And all of a sudden I was this comedic wrestler who was getting booked more than ever. I was like, I got to stick with this. This seems to be the pathway.
Yeah. And you got up to all sorts of capers as Mr. Juicy, right? The KFC bucket hat. I think you told us.
I got sued. They tried to sue me. KFC tried to sue me. My favorite place in the world, KFC, sent me a legal letter stating that I must cease and desist. And they also told me I had to remove every photo from the internet. I'm like, brother, how do I do that? Otherwise, they're going to sue me. And I was like, this is awful. And I used I said to them, well, what about the fact that at this time, and I'm sure this was happening in New Zealand as well, whenever there was a one-day cricket match, people would go with KFC buckets on their head. I'm like, what's the difference? What's the difference? And they did not think that was very funny. So they didn't sue me. We didn't go to court, but there was definitely a lot of suspicious activity on my social media where I was getting random messages from accounts that were new accounts going, oh, sell me a Mr. Juicy t-shirt, but I really want the KFC logo on it. I was like, something's up here. But my favorite Mr. Juicy story was doing a tryout for WWE as Mr. Juicy and getting an email from Kenyan Seaman, who was the international talent agent at the time, that said, WWE will never, ever, 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 ever use Mr. Juicy. And I was like, ever?
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, but the best bit about it is, and this annoys me to this day, but it kind of feeds my ego too, only a few weeks later on NXT, Bull Dempsey debuted a new gimmick, which was literally Mr. Juicy. There's a photo, and I'll send it to you so I can put on this podcast, where we're doing a side-by-side promo, and the promo's the same. It's the same promo.
Wow.
And I'm like, you just gave me my gimmick. So don't tell me you'll never use Mr. Juicy. I'm about to prove them wrong too. But
he'll never use Mr. Juicy, but he'll use the gimmick.
Yeah, that's right. So, look, Mr. Juicy was a great way of me sort of resetting myself in Australian wrestling. At the time, Adam Gambino or Gino Gambino wasn't really being used. But this comedy character of Mr. Juicy, and I've got to give a shout out to Crackerjack, who was showing me that, he was doing a little bit of comedy wrestling at the time because he was injured. And I was like, oh, we can do that. We can do funny stuff. And then I started watching people like the Florida Brothers, who were big in Japan, Super Porky, who was big in Mexico, as well as Kikutaro in Japan. There was so many guys doing really good comedy wrestling. I'm like, I feel like I can do this. And sure enough, no one else was really doing it, and I was able to take off.
Yeah, I feel you would have been more comfortable as Mr. Juicy in that comedic character. Would that be right in saying?
I think it was easier, and I hate to say that, but, trying to do a serious gimmick or trying to be someone maybe that you're not is difficult, and trying to convince a crowd that that's a cool thing and they should celebrate it. But doing a comedy wrestling, 90% of the crowd goes, that's pretty funny. 5% goes, and then there's the last few percent who are like, I hate this guy, this is shit. And that's cool because the 90% are buying your t-shirts, the 90% are buying tickets, the 90% are following you on social media. So realistically, you're never going to please everyone. We could sit here with anyone from the WWE and talk about their gimmick, and there will be a minority that doesn't like them. It's just, that's pro wrestling. You're never going to get everyone on your side.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it led you to the MCW Championship.
Yeah, so I came back to MCW, and that was a lot. At the time, I came back as Mr. Juicy, and I was like, I'm just going to stick with this gimmick. I'm not going to do much. I'm going to just do the basic comedy. I'm not bumping. I'm not doing anything, right? Which is the dream, let's be honest. And sure enough, Elliot Sexton or Duke Hudson, comes to Melbourne, moves to Melbourne, and obviously him and I really connect, and we become really close friends. And he pretty much goes to me, I think you can do more. And I was like, nah, I'm really set in my ways. I'm going to stay as Mr. Juicy. He's like, no, I think you can do more. And him and I started doing these really cool promo videos together. We did a Harry Potter one. We did a GTA one. We did a really good promos that led to a feud between him and I. And he literally held my hand and guided me into what Mr. Juicy became, which was someone probably a little bit more active in the ring, a lot slimmer. He took me to the gym a lot, which was good. And sure enough, the ball started rolling, and all of a sudden, there was just this avalanche of Mr. Juicy. I think I'd wrestled every state besides Tasmania in that year. I had done something like 110 shows all up in a year, which is very much like Hulk Hogan's 400 shows in 1 year. But I got very close, the date line. I went back and forth. But I remember I wrestled Melbourne the Friday night, Sydney the Saturday, and then either Canberra or a country show on the Sunday. It was constant. And that sort of made promotions like MCW go, well, hey, why can't this guy have a dusty run? Why can't he have the belt for a little bit and sort of be our, in between the big champions? And that was my first sort of win, which was, again, if you had told me that when I first started doing Mr. Juicy, I would have laughed at you because
right.
I didn't think that was my place in wrestling. But sure enough, other people saw that the Mr. Juicy ball was rolling, and we ended up with a belt around me.
You spent quite a bit of time here in New Zealand as well, right?
Oh,
IPW, SPW,
I
a
love
number of
New Zealand.
escapades.
Yeah, I really a lot of escapades. I love New Zealand wrestling. I used to sing a song called Invercargill Number One, and I would walk around Invercargill singing Invercargill Number One. I love New Zealand so much. I know they just had their 10-year anniversary. I wish I could have gone over for it. It's such a nice place, and I've got people like Travis Branks, Aaron Hanare, Marcus Cool to thank for all that. They were really keen on having me over in the early days of Mr. Juicy. And when I went over, they all three of them treated me with a lot of respect and helped me sort of pave the way. And that's how I met Shriner, Tox Farley. I was at a IPW show in Auckland. We were wrestling in a hut there, and it was an opportunity just to meet him by passing. And I said, "Oh, mate, if you're ever in Melbourne," he goes, "Oh, yeah, I've got family." That's my Tox, by the way. "Oh, yeah, I've got family. I've got family in Melbourne. I'll let you know." And from a cup of coffee at Chadstone Shopping Centre, I ended up in the Bullet Club. So it's amazing how chance meetings can end up with me wrestling in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, who knew New Zealand played a huge part in you joining the Bullet Club?
Yes,
It's almost
but
an
the thing is,
exclusive.
yes, it's so spot on. I'll give you the whole story if you want. We pretty
Please.
much we were at this show, and I did the Mr. Juicy gimmick, and again, was really different from what was on the show already. And someone was like, "Oh, Farley's here," and I'm like, "Oh, who's Farley?" Like I wasn't aware of his name being Farley. I knew him as Bad Luck Farley, so they didn't really click at the time. And then they're like, "Oh, the Bullet Club guy," and I was like, "Oh, hello." I was like, "I want to meet this bloke." I just wanted to meet him, and that man is larger than life. Like you meet Bad Luck Farley, and you're like, "Wow, like this is a wrestler sort of thing." Like if he said to you any other job besides pro wrestling, you would say to him, "You should be a wrestler." Like that's the look he has. Like if he said to you, "Oh, yeah, I'm a kindergarten teacher," you'd be like, "Bro, maybe look at pro wrestling. Just give it a crack," right? So shook his hand, and again, I just said to him, like, "If you want to catch up when you're in Melbourne," he's like, "Yep, I've got family there." And by chance, I get an Instagram message probably like a month later being like, "Hey, bro, I'm in Melbourne. Do you want to catch up?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely." I literally dropped everything and went and we had a coffee. And I still know his coffee order. It's a flat white. And we went there and we drank a coffee at Papa Rich, out of all places, which is a terrible coffee. And we had a coffee and we got chatting, and he had this real vision of this New Japan, New Zealand, Australia alliance. And I was very honest with him, and I said to him, "I think what you're saying is great, but it's not possible. There's no real backing financially for anyone at that time." This is like 2017 to make that possible. And he goes, "What do we do?" I go, "Let's be honest, are they interested in Australia and New Zealand?" And he's like, "Oh, kind of." I'm like, "Well, let's get them interested. Let's show them what we've got here." So I had a few meetings with the office and Farley, and they had agreed that they would like to see what Australia has to offer and wanted to do a tryout. The issue was the tryout was going to come to a cost to us. So we had to fund the tryout. And as you know, you've been part of the business long enough, that's not the usual thing. So I'm already on the back foot. I have to convince, 20 to 30 Australian and New Zealand wrestlers that giving me money is a good idea and you might go to New Japan. And that was a tough sell. That was a really and I understand why, because so many times, and here's a little bit of a, behind the curtain for everyone, the amount of times a person has come up to us in wrestling, be it New Zealand or Australia, they have said, "I can make this happen. Trust me, just give me a little bit of money." And we've made the mistake of doing that before, and it's fallen to pieces very quickly. So we really struggled, but I think I had enough sort of friends and I had enough sort of respect within the industry, and so did Farley, that people went, "Well, we feel like this is going to happen." And the truth of the matter, I don't think I've ever told this story, it almost didn't. right? So I have attention deficit disorder, which means, and dyslexia, which means I read things and don't take the information in. So when I booked the flights for the office from Japan to come from Japan to Auckland, Auckland to Melbourne,
Here we go.
I booked the wrong dates. Flights did not exist. I booked them through the worst website, and all I remember is getting a phone call at 11 p.m. on a Thursday from the office. And they go, Gino-san, Ghetto-san and Jado-san are at airport, no ticket. And I said, what? They're like, no ticket. And I'm like, oh my God. Luckily, I had a spare credit card, and it wasn't a ridiculous price, but I booked 3 tickets on the spot then and there for them to fly from Tokyo to Auckland that night. So it was so lucky that they were nice enough to call me and tell me, because anyone else would have been like, fuck these guys, we're not dealing with them.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, we really want to come. So all I could think was, imagine they didn't turn up and I had 30 Aussie and Kiwi wrestlers going, we fucking knew it. They would have gone, we fucking knew you were shafting us.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, so it was a lot, but they came, they saw, they were really impressed. They were really impressed. I know in New Zealand, they looked at a lot of people and they really liked everyone that was there. In Australia, they were particularly impressed with Jonah, who's now Bronson Reed, Damien Slater, who was at WWE as well. They were really keen on Marcus Pitt, Mikey Broderick. They looked at all these people and they were like, yeah, look at this talent pool. Like, everyone's here. And then we did a show for them and they were impressed by the show. But again, it's led to people like Robbie Eagles being at New Japan, led to me doing Tokyo Dome and now this commentary career. It's led to people ending up at Noah. There was a real snowball effect that I don't think people understand that. Look, you're right. A lot of people didn't maybe end up directly in New Japan, but the sort of ripple effect of other places, Noah, WWE, Progress, came from that tryout. People were so impressed by the tryout. And funnily enough, it led to one of the biggest independent bookings that's ever happened, which was Okada appearing at an MCW.
Yeah. How good.
Someone put it to me this way. It's like Flair showing up with the WCW title. That's how important Okada coming to Australia was at the time. I don't think people realize the influx of messages to me, to Farley, to MCW, saying, how the fuck did you guys do this? Like, again, I'm giving you some exclusives here, but I'll tell you exactly what happened. Good. We had wait till I start talking about the Young Bucks. We had a conversation about who we wanted to come out. So New Japan had offered the idea of bringing out a star to wrestle in Australia to sort of gauge the market, I guess. Is it worth doing a tour? Was kind of the play.
Right.
And you got to remember, this is 2017, 2018. Wrestling is red hot. Like the Bullet Club's probably the biggest faction in pro wrestling. WWE was probably kind of dropping. AEW didn't exist. So if you want to watch real hardcore wrestling in the sense of, stuff people weren't watching, you had to download New Japan to watch it. So the hardcore fans were doing that. You think Cody Rhodes was doing like Stardust at this time. Like, that's the kind of era we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we go, oh, let's have a chat. And we're like, oh, how good would it be to have Suzuki? How good would it be to have Evil? Like, Evil was doing some cool stuff with Sonata at the time. Sonata would be cool. Wow, do you think we would get Sonata? I don't think we're going to get Sonata. And then they wrote back, they're like, please, Okada-san. And I'm like, I don't think we can do that. I don't think that's allowed, right? And they're like, oh, no. And I literally went back to MCW and said, hey, they want to send Okada. And they looked at me, Fresh and Mikey J looked at me, and they go, no. They literally like, no, we can't. We couldn't facilitate it. We couldn't get a venue that would respect the man enough. We couldn't find an opponent to his level. There was so many conversations of like, no. And we went back and we're like, thank you. That's very generous, but maybe Sonata? And they were like, no, Okada. And we're like, right, okay, we're on. Like, it's Okada. Wow. So, we had to change venue. Luckily, Slex was available because you really need someone that can hang with him. I remember Fresh saying to me, "What, you think it's going to be you?" I'm like, "Are you fucking insane?" I'm like, no, absolutely not. And look what happened from there. Here comes Okada. Here comes Will Ospreay. Here comes the New Japan tour that Fale and I ran. That was a disaster. It was really a ripple effect that, again, I don't think people understand how much that was the key turning and opening the door for everything. Like, the talent was here. Robbie Eagles is one of the best wrestlers in the world. So is Slex. So is Adam Brooks. But the fact that we all of a sudden, we became the UK. Do you remember the UK was really popular?
Yes.
Like, everyone out of the UK, we all of a sudden went, oh, now let's look at Australia. Like, UK was still great, but they're like, hold on, there's something happening down there that's really cool that we want to look at. And everyone got eyes, and all of a sudden people were getting jobs, and that's the goal.
And look at Australia's still reaping the benefits. Look at all the Aussie talent that's in WWE and AEW and around the world at the moment, and killing it.
Yeah, can I quickly? I'm sorry, I'm jumping stories. Can I tell you my favorite Rhea Ripley / Bronson Reed story?
Here we go. Yes, please.
So I was at the tryout that they got picked up, right? And so we're at this tryout, and there's a few of us. There's probably 30 of us, so it's pretty deep. And William Regal yelled at me, but that's another story for another time. And I ate so much catering that wasn't for me. So that's probably why I didn't get signed. So we end up doing the tryout, and they stand up, and you know what it's like. It's very like rigid and that's fine. I like that, right? It should be. They're the big fish, It should be like that. So we're hearing whispers that pretty much Bronson Reed and Rhea Ripley are the two people they're really looking at.
Right.
And they stood up and they go, just so you know, I know there's a lot of people talking. We're not just looking at two people, we're looking at everyone. And we're like, oh, okay, fair enough. And they go, now in saying that, we're going to record the last two trial matches tonight. So that will be Rhea Ripley and Brian. We just broke out like the laughter. I couldn't. And they're like, no, we're just testing the cameras. I'm like, bullshit. You're recording the footage, so when they're superstars, you can play it on Raw. And sure enough, every time Rhea Ripley has like a backstory, you see the footage, you just see my fat head in the background walking around. So it's like, but again, I know we've jumped from New Japan to WWE, but the truth is, when you met Rhea, when she was younger, and when you saw her, you're like, that's a star. That's a star. Like, there was no one ever doubted that she would be something. No one ever doubted. It's like when you watch Lena Cross now. You get me? I watch Lena Cross wrestle. I'm like, oh, that's a person I know that will be in WWE one day. Like, there's no more of this. Oh, maybe look at her, amazing. Same with Bronson Reed. I've been friends with Jonah for 15 years now, and I just always knew he was going to make it.
Yeah.
Same with Sexton, same with Duke Hudson. You just knew he was going to make it. They've just got this aura about them, this superstar aura that you can see it. You can see, unless they absolutely shit the bed at a tryout, they're going to make it. Luckily, these Aussies never have.
No, and look, I've got to be honest. As Kiwis, we've half pie adopted them. It's great seeing our cousins from across the ditch doing so well.
That's all right.
All the time.
We stole Russell Crowe. It's fine.
You can have him. You can have him, my friend.
No, the man just had a concert in Malta. I can't. My girlfriend's from Malta. I cannot. Anyone that appears in Malta all of a sudden is our favourite at home. So, Russell Crowe.
With you, 2018 Wrestle Kingdom 12. You competed at Wrestle Kingdom. I actually watched a bit of a clip of that last night. I showed my wife you headbutting Henare, and of course you going down. And she popped. So, you're getting pops, 7 years later off that spot. What was that experience like? How did you find that you were booked in Wrestle Kingdom? Was it a pinch me moment? What was it like in front of that crowd?
It was. I used the line, how many Tokyo Domes have you done? The fact that me and Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Michael Jackson have all done the Tokyo Dome it shouldn't be allowed. Right?
It should be a t-shirt.
Well, it is, and I'll put it up on my Facebook so people can buy it. But the interesting thing is, I feel like they handed me Tokyo Dome for two reasons. One, as a thank you for all the hard work of the New Japan tours and getting Australia and off the board. But two, they also saw me in the tryout as Mr. Juicy and felt like there was possibly a chance that there might be something there. And I was really, I can't explain it. I got a FedEx out of all things. And the reason why I laughed that it was a FedEx is I've always heard those shoot interviews where the wrestlers would talk about, oh, the FedEx truck bringing your check, right? I get a FedEx, and I was like, FedEx? Like, you know, in Australia, New Zealand, FedEx isn't really like a big thing, right? Yeah. It's either toll or whatever. So I open this FedEx, and it's just all my paperwork for a Japanese visa. And I was like, is this it? Like, is this kind of it? Like, have I... And in there was a contract as well with, you know, money and what they expected and how much I was going to get paid for that week and if it's ongoing, what that money looks like. And I just remember sitting down and being like, it's a bit of imposter syndrome. I was like, I don't deserve this. Like, at the time, Bronson Reed wasn't hired by anyone. Duke Hudson wasn't hired by anyone. Robbie Eagles. And I was like, what about them? That's kind of how I felt. I had this imposter syndrome. And I spoke to a friend of mine, Mike Altamira, who's a massive boxing promoter and currently Tim Zoo's manager, if anyone's interested in that. And he goes to me, but why not you? And I was like, okay, let me unpack that. And then I spoke to another friend of mine, Davis Storm, and he said the same thing, but why not you? Why are you not allowed to have this? He's like, doesn't mean they won't ever have it. It doesn't mean that you took it from them. But you're allowed to enjoy the moment. And that was a big eye-opener for me because it's probably not something I've ever had in my life where I thought I'm allowed to have something nice.
Yeah. And did you allow yourself?
No. And I'll get into that because that's probably my biggest regret of all time. So I took a moment, I signed all the paperwork, got all the paperwork done. My favorite point of it is I got my tickets for the flight there, right? And I open my Qantas app and they're business class tickets. And I'm like, look at me. Private jet flying, Rolex wearing. I go, I've done it. And I remember ringing Tox Farley and I go, Tox, I got business class seats. He goes, why? And I went, uh-oh. And he goes, I don't think you should have business class seats. It's your first tour. And I got off the phone with him, and 10 minutes later, I get an email, sorry, we fucked up your flights.
Oh, no.
Now, I don't think it was him, but he did have a good point. Like, business class seats are reserved for people like himself.
Right.
Like, they're the big dogs. I'm new. I need to, calm my ego down a little bit, which was probably the right thing to do. But I'd been to Japan before. I'd actually sat at the Tokyo Dome the year before at Wrestle Kingdom and said to my best mate, I need to do this. So for 365 days later to be at the Tokyo Dome as a performer.
Insane.
And I didn't really know what to expect. Like, I felt like everyone I was surrounded by had done this 100 times before. So for them, it was like almost like going to school. You know where the canteen is. You know who the cool guys are. You know where to sit. I remember messaging Will Ospreay and being like, do I shake everyone's hand on the bus? Like, I didn't know what to do. I hadn't done this before at this level. And, hats off to Ospreay, hats off to Farley. They guided me through that week so well. And, we can sit here and talk about, the match and the crowd and blah, blah, blah. That's not important. What's important is the way you hold yourself and the relationships you make outside of the ring. Because I can tell you now from experience, I have seen brilliant wrestlers go to Japan and make an absolute dick of themselves outside of the ring and never be brought back again. There is an expectation of your professionalism when you're there that you must maintain. And when you got to remember, like, if I got to sit on the bus with you, mate, for 8 hours, you better not be a weirdo. You get my point? Like,
yeah, of course.
You better not smell bad, and you better understand that there's a hierarchy. Like, I remember sitting in a chair once, and I won't say who because it's, not important, but someone a lot higher up than me in the New Japan roster said, move. Not that they wanted to sit there, they just wanted to put their feet up on the seat. And I went, okay. I didn't sit there and go, yeah, I'll fight, yeah, because I could have fought the person, I promise you. But I just went, okay. because that's the expectation. There is a hierarchy. There is a sense of professionalism that you need to maintain. And I learned that. That's what I learned at Wrestle Kingdom. Take away the match, because you remember, it's just another match in a ring, just in a bigger venue, right? And that's cool. And I've got the photos and I've got the video, and it still pops people when I do the headbutt sell. Like I headbutted an Islander. Of course that was going to happen, right? But like, Henare was so good to me. He literally goes, "I'll take care of you out there." Like, that's the type of thing I'm talking about when I say professionalism backstage and outside of the ring. Like, you need to be humble and you need to appreciate what you've got. And that's my biggest takeaway from Wrestle Kingdom. It's not even like, don't get me wrong, walking out in front of, I think it was 53,000 at that Tokyo Dome. Never again in my life will I experience that as a wrestler. As a commentator, I have. But yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway. If anyone's watching this and wondering how they're going to make it, please understand being a good human outside of the ring is more important than what you can do inside the ring. We can hide your shitness in the ring. They hid mine for years, right? But if you're, an obnoxious, egotistical person outside the ring and you think, I've made it, so therefore I should be treated so-and-so, you won't last.
Yeah.
You won't last at all.
Yeah, leave the gimmick at the curtain, right?
100%. 100%.
This is B. Priestley, the Top Gaijin, and you are listening to That Sweet Pop.
Welcome back, folks. That is Gino, Juicy Gambino. What a great storyteller he is, Brad. And I'm going to give you the hot tip. Yes. We kick off part 2 of the interview next week with Gino telling a story about how he's got heat with the Young Bucks, how he's got heat with Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, and how one of those came to apologize to him soon after a bit of an incident that took place. What were your thoughts on Gino?
I found it a fascinating interview, Dion. What a voice he has too. Such a recognizable tone, that voice. And found it interesting that he's got heat with the Colonel, Mr. Sanders himself, KFC. Come on, KFC. Like, dude wants to wear a bucket hat to the ring. Like, chill out, please.
All right, it's time for us to head to the hot tag. Kicking things off on the hot tag this week, Kiwis have made the PWI 500. Count them, Brad. There is 1, 2, 3 of them. Jay White coming in at number 86 this year. Of course, he's been off our screens for a little bit. He has been higher in the rankings in years gone by, but seeing a couple of faces from IPW in there, I know you'll be particularly thrilled with this. Number 425 is James Shaw. Number 489, Horace.
Yeah, Duke of Death and the holy man himself, James Shaw. First of all, just want to start that hashtag what about Will? As in, what about Will Stone? But just that's just my personal preference. But man, James Shaw, Horace deserve this. Put their bodies on the line, multiple times a week, right? Across the country, and they do it for the fans. And look, James Shaw is an excellent bell-to-bell wrestler. He's got a great character. He connects with the audience. And Horace is just loved by everyone. Like, even when he was a heel, when he was part of Jake Sheehan's group Control, like, he was still the dude out of that group. You're like, man, I want that guy to win. And changes his look up every now and then. Has a great mustache, and any man with a great mustache deserves to be in the PWI Top 500. So I think it's really important that we as Kiwi wrestling fans recognize that, because it doesn't happen a lot, and they should be extremely proud of themselves. And it's something for everybody else, both boys and girls, in New Zealand to look at, recognize, and go, I can get there too. And I think it's awesome. Congratulations to both of you guys. You deserve it. And look, Jay White is one of the best pro wrestlers on the face of the planet. He's just been completely and utterly snake bitten since his AEW signing, which is really unfortunate, because I kind of think he had the ability to be one of the top stars there, but it just hasn't gone well for him from an injury standpoint, which is a real shame, because there wouldn't be more than 15 names that I could throw out that are as good as him from the time the bell rings to the time the bell ends.
Hey, you mentioned Horace's moustache. What about those traps? The traps of the man are outstanding.
Yeah.
And this is great for their careers. I think obviously for indie wrestlers, the PWI 500 probably means a lot more than for those in WWE, AEW, TNA, and New Japan, although I'm sure it still means something to them. Jay White, number 12 is the highest he's ever gotten in the PWI 500, the highest a Kiwi has ever gotten, but not the only IPW star that's been in the PWI 500. In 2009, Dal Knox hit number 326. The following year, Vinny Dunn hit 421. We've also seen Hinare for multiple years in the PWI 500. Luke and Butch back in the day were in there as well as Rip Morgan. But look, congrats to the guys from IPW on making the PWI 500. We are very proud of you all. Now, Brad, I know you're a big fan of Seth Rollins, as am I. Crown Jewel is coming real fast.
Yep.
But again, we're getting Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel for the Crown Jewel Championship. And I get it. This is where the cards have fallen. The WWE Champion will take on the World Heavyweight Champion. But at last count, this was the 3,746th meeting between these two men in the last 4 years. That's not actually true. It's the 22nd. I'll tell you a stat. 0 for 22.
Yeah.
That's where Seth Rollins is at the moment. Your take on this match?
My take is Seth's getting his O removed. He's going to win this, just from storyline perspective. I think it makes a lot of sense. I kind of feel like it's fresh, though. Now, the reason I say that is because the last match, like, I fully remember them having was the Hell in a Cell match, right? Like, that's the last thing that I can remember, which was when Cody did the pec injury and was out of action for 9 months. I just can't, like, and that's the one thing that's fresh in my mind. And that's why, to me, it does feel a little bit fresh, because they're so different from that time to where they are now, right? Certainly Seth is. And Dion, they can go, right? And every single one of their matches are, to quote Dave Meltzer, between 4.5 and 5 stars, right? Like, we know that these two are going to put on a great match. The crowd's going to enjoy it. It's two tremendous wrestlers, two very over wrestlers. I don't have a problem with it, because they've been on different shows. You've got the story there of Seth being Cody's shield at Mania in Philadelphia, where Cody finished the story. I thought their promo, Dion, on Raw was probably the best segment I've seen on Monday Night Raw in the last 3 months, in terms of a segment, like not a match, but a segment. I thought it was tremendous, and we're going to get more of that. And you can intertwine some other stuff in here. You can start to build towards War Games, where I think there's heading. Maybe you add Roman to the storyline at some point. You certainly add Punk to the storyline, because I think Cody and Punk is something that might happen at Mania as well. So I think this is the start. Crown Jewel could very well be the start of our build towards WrestleMania.
And look, to me, it just feels like Seth has been stuck in this loop with CM Punk, and he'd previously been stuck in this loop with Cody Rhodes. He needs to break out of it. I think he will win. I don't like that we talk about these matches and talk about someone needing the win for the progression of their career versus, you know, it being a competitive contest. And we think this one is the better. Seth does need it. He is going to take the win, in my opinion. I just hope he moves on from CM Punk real soon. I hope he moves on from Cody Rhodes real quick as well. Yes, they make magic in the ring. I just want to see a little bit more from other feuds with Seth Rollins. I think we'll get there. I think we'll get there. But
just quickly on the Perth card, monumental moment when you consider that Australian pro wrestling fans are going to get to see John Cena versus AJ Styles for the last time ever. And we know that AJ in the last sort of 48 hours has said, I'm going to be done at around WrestleMania time, and then I want to look at working backstage in WWE. So this is a huge moment. And if you are going to Perth, man, like, get those cameras out, take those photos. You are witnessing history between two guys who have magnificent chemistry. That card's going to be sick. Well, it's certainly on paper, it looks like it's going to be sick. And it looks like a card where, you know how you have these champion versus champion matches where the matches are what's important, because the storyline is probably missing a little bit. Like, you've got a match where it was made online, where it was John Cena and AJ Styles asking Paul Levesque to make the match. And you've got champion versus champion twice over. So I think it's going to be a great from bell to bell perspective. Crown Jewel in Perth is going to be awesome. And AJ versus Cena. What a great opportunity for Australian and New Zealand wrestling fans to see two of the greatest of all time in the ring for the very last time.
Now, heading over to AEW land, Tony Khan did what Tony Khan loves to do. He revealed some new championships, and I'm pretty excited about this one. The Women's Tag Team Championships have been unveiled. Look, there was a time where we had the Divas Championship. That was about it for women's wrestling, right? Things have moved on. Women's wrestling is hot and continues to get hotter. So great to see the Tag Team Championships being added to the women's division, Brad. Do you think this is long overdue? Do you think the timing is pretty good from Tony here?
Do we need more titles?
No,
so
but we need these titles.
Well, maybe. So I'm going to put something to you, right? So and this works for WWE as well, but like in AEW, like I have to think about it for a sec to tell you who the TNT champ is, because that bout gets lost in the shuffle. Okada's got like 3 or 4 different titles that used to be the international title and the continental title, and now it's the unified title. We know Hangman's the champ, but like the most relevant title to me in AEW is Mercedes Moné's title, because she just keeps winning, right? So it's the TBS title. She's more relevant than the women's champ. So yes, these titles are awesome because women's wrestling right now, that sparks joy into my life on a regular basis, because I think the women just do it better than the men at the moment across the board. But Tony Khan's challenge is to not, like WWE has, he needs to learn from that and not make these titles insignificant by putting them on Collision every week. And not featuring them on pay-per-view. Like they've got 6 trios titles as well. I think the Ops are the trios champs, but I couldn't be 100% sure on that. There's tag champs, TBS, TNT. There's so many bouts in AEW and in WWE. So my challenge to you, Tony Khan, make these titles mean something. Make them mean something. Feature them heavily, because women's wrestling is where it's at. And I just want to see them actually mean something rather than be shopped around.
Yeah, well, the problem is the horse is bolted on all these championships unless you start having unifications, right? But in my opinion, we should head back to how things were when we started being wrestling fans. And I know that makes me sound like a crusty old man, but there's a world championship. There's a mid-tier championship like the Intercontinental, and there's a tag title, and you have them across both divisions. 6 titles within WWE, 6 titles within AEW. Championships start to mean less and less, and if you've got a card where there's going to be 8 championships defended, you get to the point where some of them just don't really mean that much anymore.
This is a story for another day, but I want to put this teaser out here. Maybe we talk about this next week, Dion, but I think the brand split over the last 20 years has ruined wrestling, right? Because it's taken away the meaning of the mid-card title. And there's been times, like Gunther's reign, where they've made the title mean something. And Becky Lynch is certainly doing that with the Women's Intercontinental Championship at the moment. But the brand split has ruined wrestling, and Brad would like to fantasy book the end of the brand split. We have one world champion, we have men's and women's, we have one mid-card title, men's and women's, and we have tag team titles. And maybe you can chuck a trios title in there as well, to get a whole bunch of people in the ring at the same time. But that's it. Like, we don't need all these championships. And I know WWE's roster's big, but if you've got 5 hours of television every week, you can probably fit everyone in here or there. But yeah, if I was to fantasy book, if I was to start a universe mode on WWE 2K25 tomorrow, I'm getting rid of the brand split, and I'm having one WWE brand across 2 television shows throughout the week. But yeah, maybe that's something we can really delve into in the future, Dion. But that for me is the reason why titles don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah. That being said, I'm very happy to see the Tag Team Championship coming to the AEW Women's Division. It's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out and who those first champions are going to be. It's probably going to be Mercedes Moné and someone. But let's talk about that another time. What I'm really happy about this week is Matt Cardona on WWE television. How good is this? The TNA invasion of NXT is in full swing. We saw TNA stars come into NXT during the match between Obafemi and Trick Williams, which of course was title for title, NXT versus TNA. I'm flabbergasted that it's taken this long for Matt Cardona to end up on WWE television. And I say that getting back into WWE is the be-all and end-all. And of course, for many people it is. I don't know if it is for him or not. But I want to see more Matt Cardona on my screens, not just on YouTube clips. Working for indies. Man, this guy has rebuilt himself into a mega star. I'm absolutely here for it. How'd you feel when we finally saw him come back?
Happy for him. And happy not just for him, but like Peyton Royce and Billy Kay were there as well.
That's right.
Well, right? Like, which is great for them. So shout out to our two Australian comrades. But there was a tinge of disappointment, and Matt Cardona is the biggest non-signed wrestler on the planet. Right? There is no one bigger than him that doesn't work for a major organization in terms of clocking in at 9 to 5. I know he works for TNA, but he works for a lot of different companies. Kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity to have him make for his music to hit, or something like that. He just showed up in the crowd, which was cool. But I kind of feel like Matt Cardona deserved a bit more than that, Dion. And I know he's part of this bigger storyline, and hopefully they incorporate him into this in a major, major way, because Matt Cardona is a star in the making. He truly, truly is. But yeah, love the angle. Really like what Shawn Michaels is doing. And look, like a lot of people talk about, is Tony Khan the Booker of the Year? Triple H has had a poor year. NXT is the best wrestling program on television. I thoroughly enjoy it. Consistency in storylines, great in-ring action, and this TNA invasion angle is kind of cool. So I'm here for it. I'm here for Matt Cardona. I just think they could have told that story a bit better with him being the superstar of the indies that he is.
I tell you what, if I was a TNA talent, I'd damn sure be invading NXT as well. The fact that an NXT talent has the TNA World Championship is a bit mind-boggling for me, especially that it's run for this long. And how much do you feel as a TNA talent seeing another show having a star there representing your World Championship? I get it. I understand they've got this partnership. I know we're heading somewhere with whether a co-branded PLE or who knows, maybe we're going to have a War Games match at Survivor Series. Stranger things have happened. But
that'd be awesome.
But we will see where that goes. And it does lead me to this question for you, Brad.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Oh, okay. Bring it.
I'm a wrestler who first gained international attention outside of the United States, competing around the world before stepping into WCW in the mid-1990s. My style blended high-flying offense with sharp strikes and technical holds, making me a unique fit for the cruiserweight division.
Can I stop you there?
Here we go.
The Ultimo Dragon.
Oh, Bradley.
I'm undefeated.
Oh, that is lovely.
King of Who Am I? Right here.
Now,
this guy.
The Ultimo Dragon. You know what I loved about the Ultimo Dragon?
Can I 1 second, Dion?
Yes, go.
This is not scripted. Dion does not let me know who these people are. So this is not fake. I 100% guessed that. My original thought was Rey Mysterio, but there's no way it's going to be Rey. And then when you said strikes, and yeah, so way you go, Dion.
Thank you. Ultimo Dragon, the cruiserweight division, obviously in WCW in the 96 through 98 period was amazing. He had some great feuds and matches with Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, the Man of 1,000 Holds, Dean Malenko. They traded the cruiserweight championship, or was it the television championship? Maybe
but of both.
Yeah. Managed by Sonny Ono, who of course would bring in international talents. Came to the ring with 8 championship belts, which was unusual for us as Western wrestling followers. The J Crown Championship, you remember this? He came to the ring with 8 titles. But what was disappointing for me was that things just didn't take off when he came to WWE. There was huge hype surrounding him, and we thought, here we go. We're going to have Ultimo Dragon and Rey Mysterio really, taking this fledgling division in WWE to the moon. But it just didn't work out.
I don't think Vince knows how to book Japanese wrestlers. Let's be honest. I don't think he ever had great success with that. But kudos to Eric Bischoff and all of the team around him in the mid-90s when Nitro launched. They needed to do something different. And that's my guilty pleasure, is watching cruiserweight matches from 95, 96, 97, Dion, because I think that's a peek into the Will Ospreays, the Seth Rollins, the Hangman Pages, the Kyle Fletchers, because they would have grown up watching Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Ultimo Dragon, Chris Jericho, who's still around, interesting enough, and the Man of 1,000 Holds, Dean Malenko, Alex Wright, Dos Vanda Kid was in there as well. Let's not forget about him. And there was some other great, like Juventud Guerrero, Psychosis. It was the best division in pro wrestling, and it was a sneak into the future of what pro wrestling would be.
Yeah.
And you would have to like delve into the depths of the dark web to find a bad Ultimo Dragon match. And there was, I don't know if it was like Bash of the Beach or one of those cards where he opened the card up with Rey Mysterio. It's one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely wonderful, just a tremendous matchup. And he did his talking in the ring. He was kind of mysterious with the dragon mask and immediate credibility when some dude walks out wearing 8 belts, right? Like you're like, okay, this guy can go. And the cruiserweight division, like I said, was a guilty pleasure of mine. And you know what I might do after we wrap here is I might jump on YouTube, look at the WWE Vault or WCW Vault now, which is actually a fantastic part of YouTube as a WCW
it really
Vault,
is.
and just look for some cruiserweight wrestling, because that opened my eyes up to a different style of wrestling, strong style type of wrestling, good graps, as they say. Ultimo Dragon, standing ovation, my friend. And it's, I think might even still be wrestling. Like, I know he's got a school, but might still even be wrestling every now and then.
Sounds like some good homework for us all. Go track down an Ultimo Dragon match. I think I'll jump on that bandwagon as well. All right. After the break, we wrap things up on this episode of That Sweet Pop. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're just about ready to wrap things up on this episode of That Sweet Pop. But Brad, first, what have we got coming up?
Busy weekend again coming up. October 3, for all you Napier-based pro wrestling fans, IPW 2 shows across October 3 and October 4. Trouble in Paradise, we'll see Cam Koba versus Liam Fury for the Flyweight Championship. That is at the Taradale Town Hall in Napier. Tickets from Event Finder. You can also get tickets from Event Finder for IPW Smash 'Em All, which is October 4 at the Asher Hall in Napier, so look out for that. Dion, of course, Freeman's Bay Community Centre there in Central Auckland, November 1. IPW presents Necessary Evil. There has been a match named for that, Liam Fury versus James Shaw, but there's something very special happening as well there, Dion.
There is something very special happening there. The Te Tahi Vinnie Dunn, of course, being inducted into the IPW New Zealand Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Vinnie Dunn. I'll be hosting that one, Brad.
Oh, good stuff. I'll be booing you. So
you always do.
It's going to happen. So that's November 1. Aotearoa Showdown, Saturday, November 8 from the Dewdrop Events Centre. Dion, as Hanari and his team present another great wrestling show in November.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. And this is being billed as the biggest event in New Zealand professional wrestling. Get your tickets now.
Absolutely. And for all you WWE fans, so it's going to be a really early start for you on October 12th. 1 a.m. will be the Crown Jewel screening live from there in Perth. Of course, daylight savings kicking in, so it's going to be a bit of a punish for all you pro wrestling fans.
Yeah, but do you know what, Brad? Do you know what?
Yes.
Bugger them. Because you and I grew up doing this. WrestleMania 6 kicked off at 1 a.m. on a Sunday morning back in 1990. Even the WCW shows in 1998, we were watching replays from 3 or 4 months earlier at 1 in the morning. These people can get out of bed like we used to.
They can indeed. But now, Dion, it is time for the Tu Meke Trophy. And this week, unbeknownst to you, I would like to award this trophy to Dion McCracken.
Oh.
And the reason I am awarding this trophy to my co-host is for the mahe that this man puts in behind the scenes that you guys do not see. And me as, we both have full-time jobs, and I know I don't have any time in my life with my kids, and neither does Dion, but all the work that you put in, mate, is really appreciated from my side. All the cool stuff that you people out there see on social media, that's all done by Dion. We don't hire anyone to do that stuff. So thank you, mate, for the hard work that you're putting into this show. This is a passion of ours, and you have gone over and above with your editing. You're learning how to become a video editor, basically on the fly. You're doing a great job. You thoroughly deserve this award, and I would like to thank you for all of the hard work that you put in, and it's thoroughly deserved. So thank you, and congratulations, brother.
Yeah, there was a time in my life when if someone said that to me, I would have very quickly just diverted to something else, but instead I would just say, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Brad. Hey, if you want to hear a little bit more about who we are, what we do, what our backgrounds are, head to the website, www.thatsweetpop.com. youtube.com. Our preferred method is for you to see us on YouTube so you can see these pretty faces. So head along to YouTube, like, subscribe, give us a follow. We really appreciate that. Of course, we're also available on the go on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And you can catch us on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, Brad, what a week in wrestling. It seems like the news comes thick and fast. Are we going to see Edge? Who knows? But what I am looking forward to is part 2 of this interview with Juicy Gino Gambino next week.
Can't wait. And ka kite to all other pro wrestling fans out there.
Yeah, and if you've made it through to the very end, again, we very much appreciate you spending your time with us. We'll see you next week. But until then, have a good one, everybody.